Alright everyone, this is it. This is my final presidential election prediction. It is now November 5th. Polls are already open where I am, so if you haven't if you're watching this today, go and vote. There's no reason not to, but this is it. I gotta get this video out to you guys as fast as possible before they start making their predictions and all that. So gonna get through this video as fast as possible. It's gonna be my final last big prediction. We're gonna get right on into it. No wasting time or anything. We're gonna get straight on into it. Here with the popular vote in the battleground states, and Donald Trump in the battleground states overall holds a significant lead over Kamala Harris, almost a 1% lead over her in the battleground states. He retook the lead at the end of September and just held on to it the whole time and greatly expanded his lead. This is great news for Donald Trump because if he can take all the battleground states, then he will definitely win this election. There's just no way Kamala Harris can win the election at that point. And this is a good sign for Donald Trump that he's on his way to victory. And this time, instead of just filling in all the states, we're actually going to take the time to go through a lot more states than we usually would. So let's actually start with California. In California here, as usual, you can see there's just no competition. Kamala Harris will easily take the state of California by more than 20 percentage points, but she will perform a lot worse than Joe Biden or Clinton did in this state. She may win this state by as little as 22, maybe even a little bit lower, which is not going to be anywhere near as good as Joe Biden or Clinton. But the state will, of course, obviously still be a solid blue state. Let's now go to Oregon. In the state of Oregon, we can see we only have one poll from this state, and shockingly, this poll is close. Harris is ahead by only 5 percentage points, but bear in mind, this poll was conducted by the Republicans. It is a Republican-based poll. But in 2020, Joe Biden won by 16.4 percentage points, and in 2016, Clinton won by 10 percentage points. But this state does appear to be getting more competitive, and yes, this is a Republican-based poll. I doubt they're that wrong. I don't think they're 10 percentage points wrong. That would be crazy. I am gonna still give this state of Oregon to Kamala Harris by a likely margin, not a lean margin, because I feel like that would be just a little bit too much. I don't think it'll be a lean state. I do think it'll still be a likely state, so that state will remain likely on this map. Let's now go to Washington. In the state of Washington, we have major discrepancies among these polls. I mean, there's just a 15, then 5, 21, 22. This is kind of outrageous for these polls to be this out of control. This one I know is a very left-wing poll. Same poll down here. These are both very left-wing. I don't know about this one. I don't know anything about that one. This sample sucks. So this state seems to be all over the place, but it does appear that it will be a solid blue state. So I'll give it to Kamala Harris by a solid blue margin. Let's quickly fill in Alaska and Hawaii. Hawaii, of course, will be solid blue, and Alaska will be solid red. So Alaska is getting a little more competitive, but it's still definitely going to go to Republicans. And I'm going to say it probably will be a solid margin. If not solid, it'll be a likely state, and there's just no way that's going to change. So now we're going to quickly fill in all the states we know will be solid for Donald Trump on the western part of the country. There's just still no point to go through these states. We know it will not even be close whatsoever in these states. There's just no way Donald Trump will lose any of these states, so we're just quickly fill them in now. Let's now go to Nevada. Here in the state of Nevada, we can see our Atlas Intel has their newest poll, 3 percentage points for Donald Trump. That's a significant margin. The RCP average has jumped up by 0.6 percentage points, and the New York Times, their most recent poll, has Harris by 3 percentage points. But remember, if you watched my last video, how this poll turned out to be a load of crap. It really did. They admitted that this poll was skewed, and they still released it. So this poll is wrong. This poll is probably more accurate. This one in the middle, Emerson is a left-wing pollster. They have it as a tie. That means Donald Trump is definitely winning in this state. It's going to be close for sure. Nevada is the only battleground state he could not win in 2016. But I will be giving it to Donald Trump by a lean margin. It's going to get close, but I think he can pull off a lean margin victory in that state. Let's now go to Colorado. We only have 2 polls from the state of Colorado, and both of them are Democrat-based polls. But we can see here that these polls are from a few days ago. This one's newer, this one's older. And then this one, you see here, it's up by 12, up by 11. Joe Biden won the state by 13.5 percentage points, which is more than these Democrat-based polls. But Clinton only won by 4.9. So this state is definitely going to look. This state is getting more competitive, but it will still be a likely blue state. There's just no way it's going to go to Donald Trump. Let's go to Mexico. Let's go to New Mexico now. New Mexico is actually getting more competitive, just like Virginia, New Hampshire, Minnesota. This state is getting actually quite competitive. Rasmussen reports that Harris had by just 5 percentage points in this state. Then this left-wing pollster has Harris had by just 6 percentage points. In 2020, Joe Biden won the state by 10.6 percentage points. We know Latino voters are actually kind of shifting away from Democrats and more so towards Republicans. This is why this state is getting more competitive. And New Mexico is the only state in the country with a majority Latino population. The state, yes, is still going to go to Kamala Harris by a lean margin or a likely margin, one or the other. I'll say it'll be. I'm gonna go on a limb here and say it'll probably be a lean state. I think it's gonna be lean or likely. That's my prediction. Lean or likely. It's not gonna be red or solid or tilt. It will be at least a lean state, probably a likely state. Let's go to Arizona now. All right, here in Arizona, you can see here that Donald Trump does hold a solid lead in this state. He's not behind any of the polls. Only this poll down here, Morning Consult, has it's a tie, and their sample isn't even being shown. I don't. That's not. Then you just. I don't listen to any samples that they don't. I don't listen to any polls that don't show their samples. Data Orbital has Trump ahead by 8% in this state. Rasmussen 2. Uh, Data for Progress, which is a Democratic poll, Trump has ahead by 1 percentage points. The New York Times, even their horrible polls we were told to ignore because they admitted it was skewed, has Trump ahead by 4 percentage points in this state. And Atlas has Trump ahead by 5. He's ahead in the average by 2.8. Arizona is just not going to be as competitive. Nowhere near as competitive as it was before. He will take the state by at least a lean margin, maybe even a likely margin. The chances are certainly there. But Donald Trump will not be losing this state today. Let's go to Texas. Here in Texas, Atlas Intel has just given us their final prediction or final poll, and Donald Trump is ahead by 11% in this state. The New York Times poll, which was dirty, no, sorry, no, this is a different one. Never mind. This New York Times poll is different than the one that was skewed. This one was not skewed. The final one was. This one was not. But this New York Times poll has Trump ahead by 10 percentage points. He's ahead in the RPI by 9 percentage points. And this is major because in 2020, he won the state by only 5.6 percentage points. In 2016, he only won it by 9. So, and then before that, Romney won it by 15. So there's been a trend towards the left in Texas, which is a scary phenomenon for the Republicans. If they ever lose control of Texas without making major gains, in California or New York or somewhere up here in the far northeast, losing Texas will be a death sentence for their chances of winning presidencies in the future if they lose Texas. But we can see here that the state seems to have taken a big shift back towards the right, just like the whole country has in general. And yes, the state does seem to be like it's moving back towards the right massively. And Donald Trump will take the state easily with a likely margin, and probably will take it by a double-digit margin. So yes, the state will be going to Donald Trump by a likely margin, and I mean a high likely margin. Let's go to the second district of Nebraska. Here in the second district of Nebraska, we can see here it is leaning quite good towards Kamala Harris. This poll has her by 11. That's CNN. The New York Times. Both these are all very left-wing polls. I'm not sure about this one, and they all have Harris winning by very large margins. I don't think it's going to be that competitive, like it was before. I don't think it's going to be that one-sided like it was before. Like, look at this. Like, Joe Biden won it by 6.8 percentage points. Donald Trump won by 2.2. State has this. That's largely because the borders being remade, but I think Nebraska's gonna Nebraska second district will get a little bit closer than that. This seems a bit overestimation, but I think it will go to Commonwealth by a lean margin, not a likely margin. That just likely just seems too much, but it's gonna be close. It's gonna be going to Commonwealth still. I do think it will. It's just not gonna be that blue. It's gonna get closer than that. We will not quickly fill no states. We know it'll be solid for Donald Trump. Like he will easily win all these states. Just no reason to look at them. So all of that will be going to Donald Trump quite easily. Let's go to the state of and this will be likely for Kamala Harris, Illinois. Let's go to Iowa. Here in Iowa, this is where we still have this really stupid poll by Des Moines Register that has Harris by 3 percentage points. We know that this poll is wrong because first of all, that's a load of crap. Just look at where the state was in 2020 and 2016. And we also know that this state won't go to Kamala Harris in general and also this poll, by the way, this poll that they conducted had the majority of people in that poll all said that their number one issue was abortion. Which, if you watched my last video, I said that's really freaking weird because if you look over here, abortion is only the 5th ranked issue in the country. Challenges reproductive rights. That's only the 5th ranked problem in the country, and the majority of people said this is their number one issue. So none of them said that. What about these bigger issues up here? Immigration, inflation, U.S. economy. No. So that poll clearly was skewed in every way possible. Just get out of here with that. Just get out of here with that. That is a load of crap. In these much more realistic polls, Emerson, a left-wing pollster, has Trump ahead by 10 in this state. Insider Advantage, also very left-wing, Trump is ahead by 6 in this state. So no, I'm not gonna play this game. If you needed any more proof that the Democrats are heavily overestimated, especially up here in the Northeast, well, there's your proof right there. There it is. This state will be a likely Republican easily, maybe even solid Republican, and I'm not gonna play that game with that nonsense. Let's quickly now fill in all the states over here in the northeast that we know will be solid for Kamala Harris. She'll easily take these. most of Maine, including Vermont, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, the District of Columbia, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. She will also take the state of New York by a likely margin. Now let's go see what New York is. In New York, we all know how this was not looking too good for the Democrats. It was looking actually quite bad. This state seemed to be getting a whole lot more competitive. We can see here, the Siena polls had her down by just 13%. This one was 14. These newest polls by Siena have it as 19. And this newest one, which is a Republican-based poll, it does have Harris ahead by 18 percentage points. So the state was looking quite interesting for a little bit there, but Kamala Harris definitely is still going to win the state. She'll take it by barely a solid margin, like that. And now let's quickly go to New Hampshire. New Hampshire is getting quite interesting. Harris is leading in this state by just 3.5 percentage points. And this is a state that is within Donald Trump's reach. I mean, just look at 2016, I mean. Joe Biden won by 7.2 percentage points, but Clinton only won by 0.3. She almost lost this state, this northeastern state. And yes, this state is the most red of all the northeastern states, and it could flip Republican. That's a very poor lead for Kamala Harris in this state. And this newest poll by UNH has her ahead by just 5 percentage points. And that's an amazing sample they got. I'll give them credit for that. That's an amazing sample. But at the same time, UNH is quite possibly the most liberal pollster in this entire country. I mean, in the entire country. And they still have Harris, and they have Harris ahead, but only by 5 percentage points. And look down here. They previously had her ahead by 11. They dropped from 11 to 5. If the whole state is shifting to the right that much and that rapidly, and these samples are great. I mean, just look how big these samples are. I gotta give them credit for that. Then that means this state is absolutely in play. It's gonna come down to the wire for Donald Trump. He could win this state, and if he wins New Hampshire, it's over because that alone will put him over 270. And I'll explain how later. Because if he wins Georgia and North Carolina, just spoiler, he almost certainly will, and he also wins New Hampshire, that'll put him over. He won't need the blue wall states. If he put against New Hampshire, it's little 4 electoral votes will put him over. But for the sake of being realistic, we are going to give it to Kamala Harris by a lean margin, just barely. This state could go flip Republican, but for now, it's still going to be a lean Democratic state. And Trump is going to take the second district of Maine. Let's now go to Florida. Here in Florida, same story. It's not going to be competitive in this state. You can see the only poll that has this state being anywhere near close is this horrible Marist poll, which we know how incredibly left-wing Marist is. They have Trump ahead by just 4 percentage points in the state, but we also have this poll has him ahead by 10 percentage points. This one, Emerson, left-wing, has him ahead by 8. This one is 9. Morning Consult, that's a pretty good sample. He's ahead by 5, and the average he leads by 8.0. New York Times, this poll is a little bit outdated, but New York Times, 14%. This is ridiculous. There's no way this state will be competitive. This state has completely flipped around towards the right. I mean, just look at 2016. In 2012, this state went to Obama. In 2016, Donald Trump took it by a slim margin, and in 2020, he actually expanded his lead. When the whole country the whole country shifted to the left, he expanded his lead in Florida, and now that state's going to be a likely Republican state. There's no doubt about it. Donald Trump cannot lose this state. Let's now go to Georgia. In the state of Georgia, it's not looking good for Democrats here either. The newest New York Times poll we got, we were told to ignore this because it was skewed, and they admitted it was skewed. They knew it was a bad poll. They polled mostly Democrats. They still released the poll anyway, so that poll can't be ignored. This one is a Democrat-based poll, so I'm not gonna get rid of it, but we know it's wrong because just look at all this. Even CNN, horrible CNN, claims that Trump is ahead by 1 percentage point. Rasmussen Reports has him ahead by 5. Atlas Intel, best pollsters in the whole world, Trump is ahead by 2. He will take the state of Georgia, and there's hardly any doubt about it. He will take the state of Georgia by a lean margin at least. In 2020, he lost the state, but only barely. And you can see here, in 2020, they actually were polling that Biden was going to win this state. And we see here, in 2020, they actually were expecting a Donald Trump victory in the state. Biden won by 0.3, but Donald Trump is beyond that margin. And according to the Atlas Intel poll, Donald Trump is beyond that margin of error. So he will take the state of Georgia quite easily. So now let's go ahead and flip over to North Carolina. In North Carolina, we can see here, Donald Trump was ahead by 0.2 in 2020. He took the state by 1.3. So this state is also overestimated for Democrats. And Atlas Intel has Donald Trump ahead by 2 percentage points in this state. Emerson, left wing, has Trump ahead by 1. The New York Times has Harris winning this state, but again, they admit that was a bad state. So ignore that. CNN, we know how bad they are. They have Harris ahead by 1 too. But overall, pretty much down the whole board, left wing, right wing polls, they all have Donald Trump winning. Alice Intel, the best polls in the whole world, have Trump winning by 2. The average is 1.2 percentage points. Donald Trump will take the state of North Carolina by also a lean margin. Let's now go to Virginia. In Virginia, Atlas Intel, actually quite surprising, gave us a poll for this state with 2,202 people. They have Harris winning the state by 5 percentage points, so that's not good for Donald Trump. Because before that, it was looking close. Well, maybe it's gonna be close. Look at this Rasmussen report. But also, this Republican poll, they also had Harris ahead by 7 percentage points. So this state, it might be just out of reach of Donald Trump, but it's still gonna get competitive. It could go to him. We'll see what happens, but it's gonna be close certainly. But Atlas Intel has Harris by 5 percentage points. This Republican poll has it ahead by 7. She's ahead in the RP average by 5 percentage points. So this state will still barely be. It will just barely be a lean state. It's almost a likely state, but it is lean, but just barely. But let's now go to Ohio. In Ohio, we can see here that Hill and Emerson has Trump ahead by 12 percentage points. The Trafalgar Group, which is with a Republican-based poll, has them ahead by 7. Alex Intel, with their best poll, they have them ahead by 9 percentage points. So Ohio's not going to be competitive. This is where Donald Trump's running mate from, J.D. Vance is from. He's ahead in the RP average by 8.8 percentage points. So this state will easily go to Donald Trump by a likely margin. Let's go to Minnesota. Minnesota is the home state of Kamala Harris's running mate, Tim Walz. And look at this. He is. Oh, sorry. They are ahead. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are ahead by just 2 percentage points, according to Atlas Intel. And look at that. It's a massive poll. Rasmussen says it's 3. This one is left wing and says it's 8. That's crazy. This one has also a very large poll. Says it's 3. She leads the OSP average by just 4 percentage points. This is horrible news for Kamala Harris, because if Atlas Intel was right, this state is well within Donald Trump's reach. And just look what happened in 2016. He almost won the state in 2016 as well. This state could flip Republican. And Donald Trump has won states with worse chances before. So he could very well take the state of Minnesota, and it's just like that. He's over just like that. But it will still probably go to Kamala Harris by a lean margin. But it's gonna get close. And it's gonna get close. If Atlas is Atlas, I remember Atlas is the best out of all of them. And Atlas is telling the truth. It's not looking good for Kamala Harris. Not looking good. And by the way, I mentioned earlier how New Hampshire, all he needs to flip it around. You just look at that. That puts him over. If he takes New Hampshire, he doesn't need any of these states. That'll put him over. But that's why New Hampshire could also change its election if it is getting more competitive. Let's go to Wisconsin. We have now reached the blue wall states. And if you remember back in my Atlas Intel video, I mentioned how specifically the single most important thing in this election was definitely going to be this right here. This right here would be the number one thing to decide this election. Right there. Where the majority of people all agree, job market bad, my family situation is bad, U.S. economy is bad. And then this is why Donald Trump is so smart for using that famous quote, "Are you better off than you were 4 years ago?" Because he wants people to not just he doesn't just want people to think the kind of think about this. He wants it to be front and center on their mind when they cast their ballot. That's why Donald Trump made a very smart decision by doing that and connecting himself to Ronald Reagan. That's why Donald Trump was smart. And if you look here, if you go to the Wisconsin polls, Atlas Intel just gave us their final poll. He's ahead by 1 percentage point according to Atlas Intel. The Chicago Group says Harris is ahead by 1 percentage point. Insider Advantage, a left-wing poll. See, this is weird. Trafalgar Group, this is a Republican pollster. It's actually based by Republicans. And Harris is ahead by 1 percentage point. But Insider Advantage, a left-wing pollster, has Trump ahead by 1 percentage point. Hill and Emerson has it as a tie. This New York Times poll is dirty. We knew it was dirty. Maris is also not that great. Very, very left-wing. But Rasmussen says it's Johnson's ahead by 3. CNN is stupid. Get out of here. This 6 percentage point is just terrible. We've been over that before. This Quinnipiac poll, tie, Marquette says it's 1. It's going to get close. Really, at the end of the day, it's going to get close in this state. And Wisconsin, though. But don't forget about this. 2020, Biden was supposed to win by 6.7. Only won it by 0.7. That is a 10 times overestimation. That is insane. That is pure insanity. So no, this state is, even though Kamala Harris supposedly leads by 0.4 percentage points, Atlas has Donald Trump ahead by 1 percentage point. And they are the best pollsters in the world. And let's look at this insanity from 2020. Plus, we also have those groups that didn't support Kamala Harris. It's a lot of things. And overall, I think Donald Trump will take the state of Wisconsin by a lean margin. Let's go to Michigan. Michigan. Atlas Intel has just released their final poll, and according to Atlas Intel, Trump is ahead by 2 percentage points. Kamala Harris's leading the state actually went down by a good almost half percent. She was almost a full percentage point ahead in the state, and it was not gone down by a full, by almost, I'm sorry, by half a percentage point. Trafalgar Group, this Republican poll does have also Donald Trump ahead by 1%. Remember, this is a Republican poll, so take it with a grain of salt. Insider Advantage, left wing has Trump has it as a tie. Hill and Emerson, left wing has it as 2% for Kamala Harris. Rasmussen admits it's also 1% for Kamala Harris. Maris, no surprise. Fox News says it's a tie. Echelon says it's a tie. Washington Post says 1% for Kamala Harris, that they're left wing. This New York Times poll that we know is dirty has it, actually no, this New York Times poll that we know is dirty has it as a tie. So we got more polls on it that says Kamala Harris is winning, but we also have an equal number of polls that say it's a tie. And also the New York Times poll says it's a tie, and we know that poll is also dirty because they admitted that it was. They said that the poll was mostly Democrats, and they released the poll anyways, and yet it's still a tie in this state. And Atlas just came out there. They have the second largest poll sample on here, and they have Trump ahead by 2 percentage points. I think Michigan will be right down to the last second. I think Michigan will be right down to the final moment to call this state. But I do think it'll go to Donald Trump by a tilt margin, and I mean tilt. Like, I mean, it's going to be like 2016 or even closer when he won it by 0.3. It's going to be even closer than that, I think. It's going to be close in Michigan, that's for sure. But I think Donald Trump will still pull out his victory in Michigan by at least a tilt margin. And it's going to be down to the wire. Michigan is definitely the most competitive state in this whole election because it's the only one that Donald Trump is supposed to win, or he's supposedly can win, but it's also the most liberal state in the whole, or most liberal state in the out of all the battleground states. This state will be down to the wire, that's for sure. But I think Donald Trump will still pull out his victory by a tilt margin. Let's now go to Pennsylvania. Here in Pennsylvania, we have just received our final poll by Atlas Intel. They have Trump ahead by 1 percentage point in this state. Emerson, left wing, has Trump ahead by 1 percentage point. The New York Times poll that we know was dirty says it's a tie. Trafalgar Group, Republican poll, Trump's ahead by 1. Insider Advantage, left wing, Trump is ahead by 1. Muhlenberg College, which will be ignored. That's a terrible sample. Under 500. Don't listen to, no poll under 500 as a sample is a good poll. Don't listen to it. Mayor's very left wing has Harris ahead by 2 percentage points. That's, of course, they always do. Echelon Insights has Trump ahead by 6. That's not true. That's too much. And the Washington Post has Harris ahead. Democratic poll has Harris ahead. Rasmussen has Trump ahead. This one says it's a tie with no sample, so get out of here. Fox News has Trump ahead. CNN has it as a tie. All these left-wing polls have it as a tie, basically. So you can already see but you can see there's a clear trend. Donald Trump actually does still maintain his RCP average lead in this state. And look at this. In 2020, they were 100% right. Biden was 1.1. Results 1.1. They got it 100% right for Pennsylvania. And if they do that again, Donald Trump will win this state. But I think they're actually underestimating Donald Trump. Atlas Intel has him ahead by 1. So it's gonna get just like Pennsylvania, just like the R2, it'll be close. But I have Donald Trump winning this state by also a lean margin. And with everybody, it's November 5th. Go cast your ballot. Come later tonight. They're gonna start making their predictions. They're counting the ballots right now. They're already voting. Tonight they're gonna come out and start giving their predictions for who's gonna win this election as the numbers keep coming in. So watch this video and go vote. Watch the video, but make sure you subscribe and everything like that. I didn't give any shout outs or anything like that. I'm straight to the point. This is my final election prediction. Watch it and then go vote if you haven't already voted. So go do that, everybody. And no, do not just flip a coin to do it. I was wrong when I said that. Don't flip a coin. Know who you're voting for and then do it. Now, so go ahead and try to give the win to whoever you want to win. So go ahead and do that, everybody. With that, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye.